Today on Let's Try It, we're gonna be making salt and pepper tofu along with some yu choy. The first thing we're gonna do is cut our jalapenos. You don't have to use jalapenos if you don't want it to be spicy, but I like it being spicy. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this up. I found that if you buy the jalapenos at an Asian store, they're a lot spicier, or Mexican store. They're a lot spicier than buying it at your chain grocery store. Those usually don't have any heat. It's a different variant of jalapeno that's been standardized for the industry, the manufacturing industry. We'll put that to the side. Next thing we want to chop up is our green onions. I like to chop these into about 1.5 to 2 inches length. While we have the cutting board out, we'll go ahead and chop our yu choy as well. I don't want the stems in mine. These are edible and you can use it. You might want to dice it up a little smaller so they cook evenly, or you'll cook it first. But I don't want it. We'll leave these as they are. We'll cut up our tofu here. We're using the firm. You can also use extra firm. You want to slice that in half this way, and then we'll cut into thirds. So I just want to make these nice and small cubes. That to the side, cut the other set. The next step that we want to do is we want to get a pot here, fill it with water. We're also going to salt it. It doesn't have to be as salty as you would salt it with for your pasta, a little bit less salty. Once it gets to a boil, we're gonna go ahead and dump our tofu in there. That's gonna draw out the moisture. I know it doesn't sound right, but salting the water and boiling this tofu is gonna draw out the moisture, which we want it to be a drier tofu so it becomes nice and fluffy when we use the cornstarch. Our water is boiling. We got salt in there. We have our tofu here. We wanna boil our tofu to get that water out. So we're gonna go ahead and dump our tofu in. Our tofu's in there. We're gonna let this boil for about 5 to 7 minutes. Let that cook, let it dry out the tofu, and then we'll pull it out and bread the tofu with the cornstarch. Our tofu's been boiling for about 5 to 6 minutes. Now we're going to take it out and put it into a bowl, or you could use a cheesecloth or some kind of clean towel, and we need to drain the liquid from it. I don't have a clean towel or cheesecloth on me, so we're just gonna put it on some paper towels. That's good enough. You wanna be gentle with the tofu. You don't have to be too gentle, but you also don't wanna you also don't wanna mash them and tear them apart. We got our tofu all in there. We'll use our paper towel, another set, and we'll just lightly press down to dry out the tofu and try and get as much moisture out of that tofu. So we'll let that sit for a couple minutes to cool down, and then we'll bread this and move on to the rest of the cooking. Our tofu's, pretty chilled. Doesn't have to be cold. You don't want it to be steaming hot where it cooks the egg. I'm gonna go ahead and crack our egg here. Then we want to mix this up. We're going to need some cornstarch and a pan or a plate. That's where we're going to do our breading. So it's about a tablespoon maybe. Let's see if that covers whatever you want. Maybe 2 tablespoons. I just don't want to waste too much. You can put a lot more if you want to. I just want to coat the area, maybe 3 tablespoons. We'll see how much we need. We'll take our egg wash here, and we probably only need about half of that egg. And I'll leave some on the side. And we'll gently roll our tofu around. We just want to coat all of the tofu. That way, all of that cornstarch will stick to it, right? This is our binding agent. Now that our tofu is coated with the egg, we're gonna go ahead and put it on top of the cornstarch here. When you're working with the cornstarch, you wanna make sure your hands are dry when you start. So we'll take this cornstarch, and we'll just kinda dust it around. Then I'm gonna put a bunch on the side so I can roll the tofus in around. So I just wanna get it all coated. And this is what's gonna make it fluffy and crispy, is your cornstarch. So you definitely wanna make sure that everywhere gets a nice even coating on it. When you put the cornstarch on, it's gonna initially look white, but eventually the cornstarch will look translucent and it'll look like you did not put any cornstarch on. Don't worry, it's on there. We put some oil in the wok. You could deep fry it, but we're gonna shallow fry this. We're gonna go ahead and fry our tofu. We don't wanna overstuff the wok, so we have to fry these in batches. Because I'm shallow frying this, I'm not gonna get a nice even color unless you tend to it. Burnt those a little. I like mine a little bit crispier. You don't have to get it to a nice golden brown. Some people may say this is overdone. I don't like a soggy salt and pepper tofu, so I make sure mine are pretty crispy. But some of these are a little over. I didn't watch it very closely. If you're deep frying it, it's a little easier because the entire tofu is gonna be submerged, so you get a much even color and coat on it. These ones look a lot better, so we're gonna go ahead and pull these. I'll actually watch these. These are gonna be on the lighter side, but they'll still be pretty crispy. I turned down my oil temp. It was a little too high on that first batch. I got all the tofu fried up, and I got all this oil in my wok. I'm gonna pour it into a pot, the pot that I used to boil the tofu. I wanna save this oil to use when I fry the rest of the items. We're ready to fry up the green onions, the jalapeno, and the tofu. The first thing you need to do is to make your seasoning mixture. It's gonna be 1 teaspoon of garlic salt and half a teaspoon of the ground white pepper. So I put that into a bowl already. I'm gonna use this oil to grill up the vegetables. So put that in there. Get this oil nice and hot. The first thing I'm gonna throw in is gonna be my green onion, but the white part. These take a little bit longer to cook. They're getting pretty soft. They're starting to get soft. I'm gonna throw in my jalapenos now. I want a little bit more oil in here. All right, these are starting to work. I'm gonna throw in the rest of my green onion, if I can find them all. And then we'll throw in all of our tofu that we fried up. Mix this up. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil in here. I I coated it with a little bit of oil. That way our mixture here is gonna stick to it. So I'll take our garlic, salt, and white pepper mixture, sprinkle some on, stir some more. Sprinkle a little bit more. Excuse me, I'm dying. This jalapeno's killing me now. I'll sprinkle some more on. You need a surprising amount of seasoning on this, so be generous with it. But it definitely is to taste. We lost one. All right, we lost one. We'll give this a try. We need more seasoning. So that's done. Go ahead and plate this up. We got that plated up. I'm gonna take some of that oil that we used to fry up our tofu in. My U-tray is a little bit wet, so it's gonna be a lot of splash here. I'll go ahead and throw that in. So for the U-tray, I'm just gonna use some garlic and some sesame oil. So this is going down. I'll take some of our garlic. Garlic to taste. I don't throw it in at the beginning just because it's gonna burn, so it'll be a little bitter. So got that going. We'll drizzle in some sesame oil. All right, that looks done. Oh yeah, that looks good. We've completed our salt and pepper tofu and the yu choy with garlic. Let's give it a try. That's really good. I like the hint of the white pepper. That really brings out a little subtle flavor. Let's try the yu choy. Having a lot of garlic. Excellent. And that hint of a little bit of sesame oil brings a nice balance to it. That's going to be it for this episode of Let's Try It. I'll see you on the next one.